You want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about sports in the state of Michigan?
You can't handle the truth!
Well, we're giving you the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, the show that provides research and statistics about all the Detroit and Michigan sports teams, whether fans like it or not, and detects, exposes, and reveals actual and hidden facts and truth that the mainstream media doesn't want you to know. No junk, no entertainment, no homerism, no slappiness, no coddling, no pop culture, no conspiracy theories, no opinions, no shilling, and no fluff. Head over to our website, themichigansportstruthpodcast.com. Follow us on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at Michigan_Truth, and like and share our verified Facebook page, the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Also listen to us on Spreaker, CastBox, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts via iTunes, and Spotify. The Michigan Sports Truth Podcast does not represent or defame any of the teams it covers, nor does it represent or compete against any mainstream media in the state of Michigan. It is also not for entertainment or debating purposes. It only detects, exposes, and reveals honest, actual, and hidden truth, facts, and statistics about them. And it is for every sports fan's own good because the truth is out there.
I admire your honesty.
Done deal, pal.
The following episode of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast is an independent edition. It does not discriminate on race, age, sex, or any other origin.
Do I make myself clear? Oh, man!
Yeah, my apologies. And welcome to another episode of the independent edition of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. I'm Taylor Phillips. Follow me on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at DT2Phillips. I apologize for not being on this channel for a while. I'm back now. This brilliant show of mine has been busy being more on the Stables Network, working on getting a sponsor. It's been crazy. It's been crazy what's been happening in this country with the coronavirus pandemic lingering for so long and how it's affected America. We understand how it has affected sports especially, and we don't even know how long it'll last. What we do know is that all we need to do is just play it safe, completely safe, and keep doing so by staying home, sanitizing, and other stuff. At least sports is slowly making its way towards its return, starting with NASCAR and UFC, followed by the regular sports that we care about, such as Major League Baseball, the NFL, the NHL, and the NBA. It starts especially with our Tigers, Lions, Red Wings, Pistons, and in college sports, including the Wolverines and the Spartans. And speaking of that, all being said,
Touchdown, MSU!
Matt Wenzel of MLive reported earlier this week that a judge has dismissed Curtis Blackwell's lawsuit against Mark Dantonio. It headlined, Judge dismisses Curtis Blackwell's lawsuit against Mark Dantonio, Luana Simon, and Mark Hollis. Now, U.S. District Court Judge Janet Neff ordered a dismissal of former MSU staffer Curtis Blackwell's federal lawsuit against Dantonio and the removal of Blackwell's attorneys, Thomas Warnicki and Andrew Patterson, earlier today. The removal of them, too. Thomas Keenbaum, attorney for Dantonio, said, quote, "It's justice done. What these people did to those defendants is just not what our system contemplates. Those two judges recognize that in its appropriate disposition," unquote. Blackwell's lawsuit against Dantonio, Simon, and Hollis was filed in November of 2018, as you all may recall, and claimed that Blackwell's Fifth Amendment rights were violated because his contract wasn't renewed after Dantonio declined to talk with police or be interviewed for the Jones Day report, which cleared all university officials except him while looking into how allegations of sexual assault against football players were handled. In Judge Neff's report and recommendations, Magistrate Judge Sally Behrens admonished Blackwell's attorneys for using court filings to generate media attention, which include allegations of NCAA violations by Dantonio and the recruitment of former football player Austin Robertson, who was sentenced to prison for sexual assault. Neff approved recommendations made in a March 20th report by Behrens and denied objections made by Blackwell's attorneys. Lawyers for Dantonio, Simon, and former MSU athletic director Mark Hollis are seeking more than $214 flat net in legal fees for sanctions which Blackwell's attorneys objected to. Keenbaum said it would be up to Barons to rule on the amount of monetary sanctions, and he noted Blackwell could appeal Neff's decision to dismiss this lawsuit to the United States Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals. Blackwell's lawyers had previously been sanctioned, including for $10,000 for publicly filing a deposition. Blackwell claimed he was set up as a scapegoat as the university dealt with sexual assault scandals. He said 2 assistant coaches told Dantonio not to recruit Robertson, who had a history of alleged sexual assault. Now, from what we understand at TMSTP, Blackwell and his attorneys might not have proven enough evidence to back up their case against Dantonio, his attorneys, and his lawyers. I wish that wasn't the case, and I also wish this case was redone somehow on one condition. Blackwell has to appeal Neff's decision and bring enough evidence, and maybe more than that, and then Dantonio would be found guilty.
Touchdown, Michigan!
Head coach Jim Harbaugh and defensive coordinator Don Brown of the Wolverines were telling the media they still have yet to beat Ohio State. I'm glad they finally understand that, but I have just one question. How are they going to do so if their coaches remain in their roles and not make any adjustments or take any criticism or responsibility? If they continue to constantly fail to beat the Buckeyes anywhere, whether it's in Ann Arbor or Columbus, then it would definitely be time for heads to roll, starting from the top with the coaching staff. That's all I have for this short installment of the Independent Edition of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast. Check out our show's website, the MichiganSportsTruthPodcast.com, like its verified Facebook page of the Michigan Sports Truth Podcast, and follow its Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at Michigan_Truth. I'm Taylor Phillips signing off. Follow me on Twitter, Periscope, and Instagram at DT2Phillips with 2 L's. Thanks very much for listening and downloading and sharing, and remember, the truth is out there. Stay safe, everyone.
The Michigan Sports Truth Podcast does not represent or defame any of the teams it covers, nor does it represent or compete against any mainstream media in the state of Michigan. It is also not for entertainment or debating purposes. It only detects, exposes, and reveals honest, actual, and hidden truth, facts, and statistics about them, and it is for every sports fan's own good because the truth is out there.